Mr. Charles actually mentioned something. He mentioned you don't have to be shy when you have cancer. So what came to my mind, when you go to bus stops like Agege, Obalende, if I'm correct, Oshodi, there's this popular doctor that is always,
in the bus.
so no, he comes from a megaphone.
Okay.
So he's always like, if you hide your problem go hide you.
A problem shared is half solved.
Of course.
I think I know of that. I've heard about
No,
that.
those problems shared though. If you hide your problem go hide you. Run sharp, come meet the doctor.
Okay.
So just like what Mr. Charles actually said, we have a lot of screening, outlets, which I'm aware of, scattered all over the country. And it would be really, really, nice for people to, understand that they can walk into any of these outlets and get screened. Cancer is not something that just happens overnight and decides to kill, the individual that actually have it at the time. When you go for screening, you get diagnosed early. There's a 70% chance that you can actually survive, the disease. But then I really wish Mr. Charles can explain to us on how, because cancer is a very expensive treatment. I wanted to ask, is it possible for us to start saving towards, sickness that we are not sure would happen? Because believe it or not, most of these government agencies are not, always there, like he explained. When you go to these governmental hospitals, you see them, scattered around, dumped, not attended to. So I wanted to ask, so what do you think we should actually, start saving up for unforeseen sicknesses? This is not unforeseen circumstances anymore. This is unforeseen sicknesses.
Yeah, I think when he started the conversation, especially when it has to do with personal finance, I was keenly listening to him to see how that could be tied in to the issue at hand, which is the cancer as a subject matter. But if you remember, he said early detection. And then what happens when you go for screening? Perhaps you see some certain funny or strange reaction, either in your way of doing things or on your body, on your skin, I mean. You go for screening. After screening, what next? You're diagnosed. Perhaps after the result, you're diagnosed of cancer. And cancer, as we know, is a very debilitating illness.
Of course.
There isn't any cure to it, but it could be managed. I think that is where personal finance comes in. But then you must have to go for screening. And the phobia, sometimes when you, especially for ladies who discover some funny stuffs on their sensitive part of the body, they feel a little bit skeptical as to if they would go for the screening or not, because the mindset
if you hide your problem.
The mindset is, what if I'm diagnosed of this? What would be my life trajectory? To some persons, from that very get-go, they start dying, internally, because obviously the fear is there. What if I'm diagnosed? And next, when the individual is diagnosed, cancer has stages, especially for the person who is, detected early. And then when you start looking at the treatment, it is not something that you can finance alone. Yes, you might say government have cancer outlets or centers scattered around the country and all of that, but how much of a help can you get from this?
So speaking about the outlets now, the Director General of the National Institute for Cancer Research, he said over 120,000 new cancer cases are recorded yearly. So, fine, most of the screening services offer free services, but when we have over 120, it doesn't align with, the screening service. So for me, I do not agree with most of what Mr. Charles actually said. You can never be ready when it comes to cancer.
I was going to come there, but the point is that how many of these centers across the country?
It's just free screening. We're not talking about treatments now.
I'm talking about at the screening level. How many of them can cater to the number of populations we have?
Exactly.
Let's even start there. Then come to look at it. The number of cancer-related issues we get is overwhelming. Now, how much of resources do government put aside for such issues? We're talking about education. How much do they invest in education? It's
You're
a far
going
cry.
far.
Then we're talking about cancer-related
Yeah.
issues. Then it tells you that an individual might not be able to do much
True.
for himself or herself. Then how much of a help can you get from government? Then it comes to what he talked about, what's it called, your health insurance policy. How much?
How many insurance policy, health insurance policy in Nigeria cater for cancer?
That's it. Even in your organization, do they also incorporate cancer-related issues as part of the health benefit you're going to get working with them? Now, what is this organization doing to put so much pressure on corporate bodies to be able to include that, so that if it happens, you don't lose your staff? He can still be there working with you, and at the same time taking care of himself. Because when you dictate early, if there are medications or measures put in place, the person lives longer, in as much as there is no cure to it. But when these facilities are not there, companies are running away from cost. So how do you think they will be obligated now to include that into whatever health policies that they will put for you as a staff? It now behoves on the government to mount pressure on them. While they are also doing this, they should also mount pressure on those corporate bodies to include that. At the end of the day, one has to also start planning for the future, because you never can tell when you will be hit with such. Some person might not be hit with it for the lifetime they will live, but some might be unfortunate, perhaps by virtue of hereditary.
But how much money can you save for this kind of circumstance?
You start saving according to what you know is your lineage. If you have maybe your parents
Hypertension,
or one or
cancer.
two persons might be related to that, there is a possibility that you might have cancer. So why not start saving early when you already know what is already in your family? But if you do not have any trace of cancer-related issues in your family, you still have to keep saving, because you never can tell. It might not just be maybe breast cancer, as the case may be. It might be cervical cancer, of course, for the male. But then, not cervical.
For the men, it's
Prostate cancer, yeah. So why not start saving for it? At least when you start saving for it, the possibility is there that you might not get it. But if you get it, you already have something to start up your medications before you call on government to really come in to help you.
All right. Like he said, we need to go for screening and know what's in your family, in your genetics, in your family lineage, to know what exactly you'll be saving for.
Yeah.
Now, to visit some of the screening centers, you just log on to www.canceraware.org.ng, and I'm going to take that again, www.canceraware.org.ng. Now, to know all the screening centers around you. Your health is wealth, like Mr. Charles will always say. If you're not healthy, you cannot be wealthy, no matter how many 10% or 20% you try to save. Anyways, that's all we have for you on personal finance this Monday morning. We'll go on a short break, and when we come back, it will be time for us to gather under the shrine. Are we gathering under the shrine or inside the shrine?
I'm going to be inside the shrine.
All right, we're going to be inside the shrine for social media buzz. Don't go anywhere, just stay with us.